Good afternoon to everyone. Good morning, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us for this webinar today. We have more than 100 people registered, right, from several countries in the world. I am Professor Jorge Carneiro, Associate Dean for the OneMBA program at FGV. Before we start, I need to read a disclaimer, an official disclaimer by FGV, which says that all statements expressed by FGV's employees and guests in our online events and broadcasts represent exclusively the opinions of those speakers and not necessarily FGV's institutional position. Right? And I would also like to reiterate that everyone present to this webinar here has agreed to participate in the event on their free will, right? And they consent to be recorded so that this broadcast will be later posted on FGV's official channels. So we have here two great speakers today, right? They asked me to introduce them by their first name to make this very informal. So it is Drasko and Chang, right? And they'll address a very important topic to OneMBA, and they'll introduce themselves a bit better afterwards. So let me pass a 2-minute PowerPoint presentation where I'll present briefly FGV and the OneMBA and give the context for this webinar. Okay, so I'll share my screen here with you, right? So here I am. Okay. So FGV, as you know, is one of the most influential business schools in the world. Actually, we have been considered the 5th most influential think tank in the world. And as a business school, we have the Triple Crown accreditation, which very few business schools in the world can be proud to show. Regarding the OneMBA itself, right, it started in 2002, right, and it is a truly global program. We hosted global residencies in multiple countries. We have our students undergo an intense multicultural experience, right, with their colleagues, the professors, right, the company they talk to, right, and we value a vision of the world from diverse and broad perspectives. Along these years, more than 1,500 students have graduated from OneMBA, and they come from over 50 different countries. OneMBA is really distinctive, right? Not only are we truly global, but we care a lot about social and environmental responsibility, ever more. Global megatrends, the world is going trends, demographic, political, economic, technological, and so on. We want to be very innovative in our business approaches, even in very large companies as well as in small businesses. Behavior and social skills are part and parcel of the OneMBA program. It's very important that our leaders understand that decisions are not only technical. They demand a lot of social skills, psychological skills, and behavior skills. And decisions are made under uncertainty, and we learn how to deal with that. So the synergy across the partner schools that compose the OneMBA consortium is value added. So we offer a lot of flexibility to our students and a lot of density. So what's the aim of OneMBA, right? Is to shape global leaders who are responsible to the environment and to the society, who are culturally sensitive to different worldviews, and who are innovative in their business approach. Right? That being said, right, now I would like to pass it on. Oops, sorry, I'd like to pass it on to our guest speakers. Here, please. Now, Drasko and Chang, if you can. Also, of course, questions, please. You can ask questions in the Slido app. Can we maybe share I think you all have the app in your confirmation for the event. So ask the questions there. I have with me Ricardo and Eliane that work with me with the OneMBA. Ricardo will be leading the question and answers session, right? If some clarification is needed during the presentation, Ricardo will also read that clarification question. Otherwise, question will be read at the end. But please post them during the presentation so that other people can see and maybe work on the leverage on a previous person's questions. So, dear Drasko and Chan, thank you very much. FGV is really, we're honored to have you here, right? We have talked, I know how important this talk will be to all of us. So please, over to you.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving us the opportunity to share some of our experiences about this very important topic, leadership. And and also thank to the whole FGV team to organizing this. And it was a really great collaboration the last few days and weeks to setting up this webinar. Let's start our journey through this the next 1 hour. And thank you also to the guests who are already inside and online. Our topic today is about leadership, as we said, and we can skip to our slide where we just to share a little bit about us, who we are. So you need to come closer. So Chan and myself, we are working together for a couple of years already. And but during this work time, we didn't saw each other that much because he was most of the time in Asia and myself was in America or on the American continent. It was either North America or in Brazil. And and during the few times when we met in Germany having a beer, we discussed a lot about our experiences, what we have about leadership, because we were coaching and steering projects all over the world, and so we met a lot of different type of leaders, senior, junior leaders, and so on. And out of this, we always discuss what makes a good leader, and we read a lot of books, we recommended a lot of books to each other, and yet we didn't have the perfect one. So starting about the books, I mean, we always talked about books, and there I'm sure a lot of people read books about leadership. And just a very short note about, if you search on Amazon how many books about leadership you will find, it's amazing. It's 180,000 books about this topic. And yet, as I said, what book, where to start, where to read, what to read, which one is the best book to become a good leader? And honestly, we can't tell you. We don't.
And always when we met, we were recommending the other one, like, you have to read this one and you need to think about that one. And still then we are at the beginning of the journey, and a lot of books which kind of are around that topic.
Yes. And if you read the books and you summarize what is in the book, most of the time you will find similar characteristic what describes a leader. So it looks like leadership is so easy. You have to give people the guidance, you need to steer them, you need to show a vision and so on, and you need to have passion. I mean, this is very easy to understand. So, and yet we have some problems that we especially also in this crisis, we learned that it's not easy to lead, and it's not easy to become a good leader in these cases. So what is the gap? Where is the problem on this?
Yeah, and as we know, having all this let's say words to describe great leadership, perception and reality is not always working hand in hand, and there is a gap, as Drasko said. And just to explain you one reason why this has a certain effect on it is, for us, we kind of summarized it in the sense of, let's say we have a graph where we see on the left axis we look at performance, and on the bottom line, on the x-axis, we look at people development. If we would just ask, okay, what is the perfect leader? What do we expect? Of course, we want to have this guy. Yeah, we want to have someone who is on the one hand giving us the performance, and on the other hand, at the same time, of course, developing the people. But
This would be the perfect leader, right?
yeah, this would be perfect. But based on our experience, what we realized and observed, of course, at the end, what you get paid for is somewhere here, like looking at performance, giving me the performance, giving me the results, and people development. Yeah, if you have time for it, why not?
Yeah, and it was just after this webinar, if you go, for example, to job description when you've listed about managers, what you see is mostly a description, what do you need to bring with you to achieve performance. There is maybe 1 or 2 words about people development. Most of the time is what do you need to bring as a characteristic to achieve performance, right?
Yeah. So if we go on, and in order to explain you that perhaps on a real life example, on my example, I'm just bringing you, I will not tell you from the day I was born, but I will give you just a brief description about my path. So if we look at my lifeline, yeah, of course I went to school. I did not that great, but I achieved what I needed. I went to university, was pushing myself, of course, doing internship at great corporations in order to learn, be always ahead of the game. Started my business world and experienced, and all the time I got one day I got promoted and had the opportunity to really lead and to try myself out. But on this journey, of course, I built up values and beliefs about how leadership will be, how perfect it can be. I will develop my people. I will have the best influence in my position, and so on. But as I said, and as we announced, perception and reality, I realized very fast that, well, it's not always that sunny. Yeah. And I just made the experience. Well, of course, it was performance, and I didn't have the freedom to create. Yeah. And why is it like that? So just to visualize it, there were so many influences, the expectations of my supervisor, the expectations of employees, colleagues, team members, and society, and so on. It was very good displayed of Professor George also, the influencing factors on that. And what I realized, so I came from a journey of my vision expectation, is at the end, the manager at that point was created, administrating the performance, and not, I didn't have the expectation to really that I needed to develop people at that time. Yeah. So to be honest, how did I feel? I felt like a robot at that time. I felt like at the end, do not question the system, just execute, be happy with the promotions. Why are you not happy with it? This is life, this is the system. And I felt like programmed. Yeah. And just to give you a framework how I was working at that time, I had 4 projects on 3 different locations. So I was traveling a lot, and I had to manage all different projects, and it was like 12 to 14 people, consulting teams, and the hell of pressure. We had to bring results, a lot of efficiency. So I felt like I was running. I was like a robot. And the crazy thing was, because of this pressure, because of all the influencing factors, I was even like pushing, just went to meetings that do this, do that, and take actions. And it got so crazy, to be honest, that one day I was even telling one of the team members how to do the phone call with the customer. And this was crazy. I was kind of scripting his phone call. And there I realized what happened actually. From my leadership style, I was owning the thinking. I was thinking for my people.
Yeah, so practically you take over their responsibility to even think, and you just make them to work for you, and you were the one who's thinking, right?
Exactly. So what happened actually? Of course, it put me in a position that I realized I lost my values and beliefs which I was having, and just to get a part of the system. And it got so deep that I was just executing that I even had the fear of changing and really working on it and doing it differently. Yeah.
So if you think about yourself, so you're feeling like if you talk today about burnouts and especially in the leadership position, that's exactly where you get to this point that you're close to a burnout. So you have like two decisions to make. Even you can stay and be part of the system and try to adapt yourself there. And as he said, being a robot, or you need to change something in the system, which is very hard, or you just quit and leave the company. And this is, I think, there the point where you come from this point.
Yeah. And on the one hand, it had an effect on me. I was feeling like in a cage, and I was actually not leading. I was just managing at that time, managing the tasks. And of course, it had also an effect on my team, yeah, and on the people around me. And at the end, it was I even like I created a framework where my team was even disengaged. Engagement went down, so they were just doing what I was telling them and in a certain manner, and that kind of decreased our productivity at the end.
Because they were just waiting for you that you
Yeah.
tell them what to do. So there was not anymore any initiative for them. There was not anymore this kind of doing something on their own, because maybe you will punish them or you will give them like failures are not accepted in the position.
And so to give you a little bit more insight, the ugly truth about it is Gallup as a company is observing and researching on it, I think since the early 70s. And they were observing companies and the whole topic about engagement. Yeah. So as we shown, engagement is driving the innovation and passion. And what was interesting in their analysis and their research is, sorry for the switch, 70% of the employee, of the amount of employees are actually just doing what is instructed. They're really stepping from A to B, and of course also necessary in a certain sense. Additional 15%, which was very interesting for us, already in their mind quit their jobs. They are somewhere else. They're in some cases even very strongly frustrated. And what was the most shocking is, okay, the last 15% are the part who is actually engaged and really driving innovation and productivity. And the crazy part of that, due to my leadership style, actually I decreased even this 15% in a certain sense. I hope I didn't brought them to quit jobs, but this was in effect in the work, and I realized that. Yeah.
And I think just another number to add on this. So even Gallup is saying that 50% of the managers are disengaged. So you're now just imagining that you have a manager who is disengaged. How can he build or motivate people or make them more engaged if he himself is disengaged already? And I think the loss in productivity is, Gallup said, is like $7 trillion loss in productivity a year in the whole worldwide production companies.
Yeah,
it's amazing loss.
So knowing that, knowing the influence on me, and understanding and realizing my role as a leader, or in that sense as a manager, one thing, and out of our discussion, we kind of realized that at the end, the employees are a copy of us, meaning the style I communicated, the style and the way I was distributing tasks, putting up priorities, I realized by observing at the end, they were adapting to it because I was creating a system where it works like that. And this was for us and for me an interesting an interesting insight to realize, okay, the importance of my role, because I am at the end creating a lot of copies who are working the same style as I did and not being productive with that.
Yeah, and maybe the next day they will get promoted and they will have the same leadership style as he showed them
Yeah.
how to lead. And this is, I think, that the one of the gaps is based on what you get paid for, is that you get paid for showing performance, not for developing people. And if you see that this works, why should you do something else? Why should you change the way of leading? Because it will just hurt you, and you will lose money at the end as a manager or even as an employee.
But of course, I had the opportunity also to do it differently, and we want to also show you now a different aspect based on the experience we did and in all the consultants projects worldwide, and to understand different approaches.
Yeah, I mean, if you look on this picture and we see this is the earnings of the automotive car producing companies in the first half of a year between 2019 and 2020, and you see 2019 was a really good year. A lot of companies have achieved a lot of earnings. And this is, I think, if you have a booming economy and you have the right product and every circumstances are good, you can easily earn money. But if you in a crisis like now, earning money becomes harder and harder, and we see how many companies are laying people off and so on. And still, there are some companies, and if you see especially Toyota, they are still earning money. And this is not like a coincidence of Toyota. Even when we look back on 2008, 2009, when we have this great recession in the world economy, Toyota was one of the first car manufacturers who went out of the crisis very fast. So, I mean, for sure, you need to have the right product, you need to have the right market and so on. So it's not just about the product and the market. What a different is with Toyota is they have a different leadership style. And back in the days when I started my consultant journey, I was trained by people who work as former Toyota managers. And during this one of the trainings, one of the guys asked me, "Hey, Drasko, do you know what is the difference between Toyota and all the other companies?" And I was trying to explain them, okay, their tools, the culture, they are from Japan, and so on and so on. But then he told me a very interesting sentence. He said, "Toyota is making people while they make cars." And I was like trying, okay, are they using robots, or what is the meaning behind this? And he explained me the leadership philosophy and also the development of leaders with Toyota. So if you want to become a manager in Toyota, you start on the assembly line. You start where the product is built to understand how the people work. So yet we have also not only our company, a lot of companies have training programs where they put people through different levels to see something. But what the difference is for Toyota, you become somebody on your side. You have a sensei, they call a trainer or coach, who is giving you the guidance and who is reflecting with you the processes. So when you start on the assembly line, what did you learn there? So you are supported and accompanied through your whole process till become a manager. And basically, you will be trained to understand how to engage people to think on their own instead of thinking for the people. And this is the major difference what we experience with this Toyota style of leadership to all the other leadership styles, is that they're really leading the people through the thinking process, not owning the thinking for them. And out of this experience was what Chan told you with his experience being a manager, about our experience with different leaders, about what we learned out from Toyota. We created our own model, and maybe just to make it easier for you to understand, Chan displayed you like his manager, and he was like under the, I mean, we try to draw this. So you see above, it's like a clouds and rain. So under the clouds and rain, it's not that hard to manage and to lead.
It is somehow the style of really focusing on actions and small short-term results without having, let's say, a long-term view. And this was especially in the time of high pressure. I was directly acting like that and deciding for my people. Yeah.
So, and now if you think about, if you want to become a leader and you go move upwards to the top of this leadership mountain, I mean, if somebody tell you, hey, go straight ahead and become a leader, for sure this way is not really easy. And we said there is a very important circumstance to achieve this leadership mountain is to create trust with your people, and we call them like our trust camps. So it's like if you're climbing a mountain, you need to have a safe haven in order not to fall down, to know that this is a step-by-step approach, that this is not like a rush through it like we most of the time think, and then we come and think we are a great leader. I mean, when you come to this point that you say, I'm the greatest leader, I think you miss an opportunity for learning more and to become even a better leader. And yeah, this is what we experienced. And as we said, trust is one of our circumstances. In order to understand how to create trust and what trust makes to us, you need to understand also what is happening in our body and in our brain. And there is a hormone, it's also called the love hormone or cuddle hormone, and it's oxytocin. And this is responsible when we meet people and we see, oh, we like this person, this is where this will get released, this hormone. So if you think, for example, now in your work life, and if you get a task from your boss or from your company to do something, and it's challenging, and you really have a good motivated, and you achieve this task, then you release a lot of this hormone, and this is where you say, hey, I love my job, right? But just imagine the opposite. If you get overwhelmed by the task and this ends up in stress, then this level of oxytocin is decreasing. And if you're now imagining you working in this environment where you always have like a pressure, like stress, you will never build up a trustful relationship with your boss or with your company. And this is where the problem starts, right? So the goal is really how to push people to this point that they have a challenging task and then even grow with this task.
And the interesting part of it is we're realizing that we are not robots. In my robot environment, when I was really pushing for results, I didn't give any love hormones at the end to the team and to have a successful base camp where we could feel safe even if there is a crisis and so on. And in order to really reach to the top, our team would have needed way more and really this interaction.
Yeah, and as Chan told you how he felt or how he acted as a man, I can tell you from the other aspect how I felt in a relationship with one of my supervisors when I got the task to create a new concept for a best practice sharing event, which was like an international one for our company. And so I needed to bring up a concept how this would work. And so I try to, and I like this kind of stuff to do. I like really to build something new, to develop something new. And with this manager, I was like trying to interact. I told him how I see this, how I would do this. And out of a sudden, it didn't work out with us. So every time I came with an idea, with a concept, he rejected. He couldn't tell me what is different or what his idea is behind, but it was never satisfying for him what I delivered. And this went like 2 or 3 weeks, and I felt like more and more stressed by this, because just imagine you're working for somebody, or you're trying to do your best to release all your creativity you have, and then you can't satisfy him. So it's like you need, there is no chance anymore that you really uh, feel happy, that you feel motivated. And at the one certain point of time, I was feeling I need to quit. I can't do this anymore because it's too much pressure. And then maybe if somebody hear my struggle, this guy changed, and another guy took over this position to be responsible for this event. And we had a really great relationship doing this event together. Out of a sudden, he gave me the space to be creative. He didn't want to think for me. He gave me the chance that I think on my own, that I present him my ideas. He challenged me, of course, about how will this work, but I could explain him this, and he trusted my skills, my experience. At the end, I mean, this picture shows that this event was at the end of the event. It was a really great achievement, and this is where you feel, hey, you did something great. And then you see exactly the differences between two leadership styles in this case. And believe me, I would always prefer to work for this guy and to do even more. And then when you get like more and more to do, then in the other case, to work under pressure and not feeling really to satisfy anybody.
So I think, just to recap and give you an overview, we were talking about style of managing and really leading, and the difference is own thinking and own the thinking process and guiding people. Just to keep that in mind, and to have this difference in mind. And the question is, of course, how to work on it, and especially today even more, knowing that we are all typically at home, and what we observe right now, it's getting even worse, because people are not seeing each other. They cannot build up the relation and share some hormones in between them. So what we observe in the leaders in which we work with is that they are even start oversteering, and even keeping the people more busy and not really interacting to build up a relation for the future. So how to start working out and get to the point of really building up this circumstance. So we simplified our approach in the sense of, in our working behavior, we have a assessment which helps us to self-reflect with our coaches in order to find out the location, where we are on the mountain, where is our GPS location, in order to understand where are the gaps and what we need to do. And the second big pillar of have the right coach and reflect with someone else about how is it, where are the gaps, where do I feel comfortable, and where not.
And I remember when we talked with Professor Jorge about this topic and about this trust, and he asked me, so how are you building trust? And this question make us really think about, okay, that's a good question. What is it really? And so we tried to find um, an answer on this, and then we came back. Trust you can only build through your work, but you need somebody who is accompanying you on this and is supporting you on this, who is reflecting with you what are you doing. And the best way, as Chan said, is to begin is to understand where are you right now on the on the trust level.
Exactly. So this is, and to give you a little bit more insights on the assessment and coaching part, is what do we mean with assessment and how to build the trust camps. We summarized it for us on four major pillars, which we see as essential. And questions you also can ask yourself later on after the session, and reflect on your team and your department or your colleagues as well. So on the one hand is, how much care and how much caring in between your colleagues is existing and actively lived is one question could be like, how are you, and are you really interested in
in the
the answer?
And more on that, even if you get like an answer, if you ask your employee, for example, hey, how are you, and he gives you an answer, oh, I don't feel very well today. What happens most of the time, we just go over to the next topic. But a great leadership and a great, I would say, trust level is to understand, okay, you don't feel very well. Can I help you somehow? Can I shape your work day to day that you maybe be supported on this, that you feel better the next day? And this is, I think, this caring process. Most of the time we try to ask, hey, how are you? And we don't even listen anymore about the answer on this, right?
Exactly. Let's go to the topic.
Yeah,
Let's go on.
yeah.
And especially also in the world of Skype, we are kind of doing some small talk and directly getting to the topics with way more Zoom meetings than we expected. So, care. Another part is, of course, communicating, talking about it, having feedback loops. So, how strong it is. And in our assessment, we kind of assess, okay, how would you evaluate it? How would you evaluate your communication? Because if you are not communicating, you won't have, your team won't have the ability to understand and understand what is necessary. Another topic is what kind of competence you bring into the team to be successful in leading them and giving them guidance. And of course, the last point is having the consistency and maintaining a balance and not jumping from right to left. So let's say in my case, if I would, my leadership style always switch all the time, my team would get crazy and would say, hey, what is he doing? One day he is like a mean animal, and one day he is a soft cuddler or so.
Teddy
So
bear.
having the consistency and having all this combined as a unit, which we use in order to understand. And of course, what we want to give you today as well is even the greatest in sports, in business, they always had the coach at the side in order to be successful and to achieve greatness. Yeah.
And especially, I think, if you see this picture of these two guys, the guy on the right side, he never tried to be better than Michael Jordan, right? He was the one who guided him to be the best in his sports. So, and this is the clear role difference between somebody who is coaching and somebody who is trying to coach to be the coachee and to achieve greatness in this sport.
And of course, yeah, it's about to start working on it.
Right. And just a short, circling back to Toyota, and if you see how, and I hope you understand and get it through that they invest a lot for this coaching of their leaders. And the other companies, they don't see this effort. They don't put so much effort in this coaching. They think this is just a cost center and you're just spending money. But on the long-term approach, this is giving back. But what we want to give you at the end here is like, if you don't change, the system around won't change for you. And I don't know if you watch this movie, which is the picture on its iRobot, I think, with Will Smith. And one of these robots, who are all the same, started to become human. He was the one who was like the rebel in this world of roboters. And what we want to give you on the way to become a good leader is sometimes you need to be a rebel. You need to break out of your comfort zone. And even if you have the fear that you will get punished for this, that you will have that you maybe not being successful, but if you don't start, you will always keep your head down and you'll be just programmed as a robot. And I think what we need more is more rebels as leaders and more humans as leaders, and focusing on developing people, because at the end, these people are the closest way to your customer what you're selling your product, right?
Yeah. And just to connect it also to the story where I started my lifeline, the interesting part of me was my values is actually very focused on team, on caring and cooperative, but the whole cage kind of made me to a totally different leader. And also talking to Drasko with the beer were helping me to really get out of the system. Not also always to start a revolution, but really start to find your own style and really think about the values you have.
Yeah, and you need to think this is a marathon. It's not like a sprint, and you will make mistakes on this journey for sure, and it will take time. So don't be scared of it if you want to become a leader. Of course, if you say, "Hey, I'm fine with this where I'm right now, and I earn good money and I still love my job," that's free. But I think there is a different approach, and Toyota shows it works.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you very much.
And I would like, if you want to connect with us and discuss this topic more, feel free and connect with LinkedIn. So, Professor, we are finished with our story.
Well, thank you very much, Drasko and Shang. I really appreciate that, especially when you said that the leader has to care for people, right? Has to communicate well, right? Back and forth, and has to bring competence. But on top of all that, has to be consistent, right? So people know that you're not going to be, like that and like that. So like a roller coaster. Well, thank you. So now let's go to the question and answers part. So Ricardo has the question posted on the Slido app, and anybody can post more questions there. So Ricardo, please. And let me thank, first of all, Internations. We have more than, correct me if I'm wrong, more than 50 members of the Internations to register for this webinar, right?
27 countries.
27 countries. So Ricardo, can you say a short word about what Internations is? Internations
Sure,
is,
Internations is a global community of expats and also locals who get together and to share experiences. In Brazil, we have a very engaging community in São Paulo, especially. I'm part of Internations. I met Drasko through Internations and many other executives. So I recommend for those who don't know Internations to definitely follow and start sign up. It is free to be part of it.
Thank you, Ricardo. Now the question and answers now.
Sure. We have a few questions here. The first question is from Roberto. He's doing an MBA, and he feels a little bit insecure about his leadership skills. So he has actually two questions. I combined them. So the first one, he asked, what are the most important qualities that a leader should have? And he wants to know if there is something extra a student should do to improve those skills.
I think if we would answer in the total, as you saw in our mountain, we have leadership principles, which we would detail in other sessions, but we will not go in a deep dive. But one thing which keeps in my mind, especially in nowadays, is I think being courageous and having the courage to take decisions. We realize a lot in these unsecure times. There are like 1, 2, 3 leaders where you really realize they have the courage to take decisions. And regarding development, especially for students, because we are working also with junior talents who are just on their way up out of the university, we realize one thing is really invest time, not only on the content development, also in your personal development. Take the time to really go on reflections, exchange, and not have the fear also to talk about mistakes and flaws. Yeah, like I did today, is to really say, to be honest, I did a bad job in my first leadership, and it's okay. But with that, I kind of started the learning process. So this, I would say. Anything?
Oh.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We have more questions here. Okay, what are the different styles when considering culture aspects related to leadership, and how does it affect leaders?
I mean, we saw a lot of different leaders from different cultures, and I mean, from the mentality, you have a difference, right? And but at the end, what comes on all of them is the pressure of delivering results, performance, and showing performance. And I think this is the same effect on every. Even if some nations like southern nations have a more connected from their behavioral people style, they will get punished by the performance expectation of the company, which is not bad. I mean, every company has a goal to achieve, to earn money, right? But it depends how do you want to push this through and how do you want to get this with your people.
Yeah, especially when we, for example, Brazil is a great example, connected, very close, and we realized that in our projects in Brazil, even when the pressure started, the strength of this group kind of got away because we put them in some case in a project in a cage, and this strength of really working with the people got away. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. So we have another one here. Uh, if, as a manager, I feel disengaged, what can I do?
I mean, you can try to understand what is the reason for this engagement, and I think that there are some circles or some influences what bring or give you or get you in this engagement role. It could be your boss, it could be your team, it could be the circumstances. So there are different. There is no general solution for this, and this is why I think it's always important to reflect and to understand where is the root cause and the trigger for these problems what I have.
Yeah. So we work actually with our coaches on the topic also of engagement to say what is the real reason, where do you stand right now, and to find out back, okay, what is your passion and what drove you actually when you would say this was a great day. And when we identified that, we kind of work on it in order to think about measures how to change it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can give you a very interesting example from my side. So if somebody tell me a whole day to make PowerPoint presentation, this is for the next 10 years, for sure I will get disengaged because my strength is more in interacting with people and working with people, and I need this human inter action, yeah. So but then I would get disengaged if I would be just doing PowerPoint slides.
Got it. Thanks. So we have one more question here for both of you. So Drasko-chan, do you believe that you have become leaders? Why so, or why not?
I would say we are at the beginning of a journey, to be honest. Like, of course, we are talking about it and observed a lot. I don't even counted how many leaders we saw in our consulting project. But I would say we are at the beginning already realizing what went bad and what we need to improve. And I would say even if we saw Michael Jordan, he didn't become great from day one. And just like getting to the world and saying he's the best basketball player in the world, or even if you look at tennis stars, Rafael Nadal and so on, he won his first championship with 28, so he was already 10 years in the league. So this is what I like as a message. I'm at the beginning and we are at the beginning, and with every experience we are growing and seeing it as a journey. But what helps, even if I'm having a beer with Drasko, is sometimes I make the experience, I'm totally emotional and I'm talking and he says like, what are you talking about? Why are you getting so angry? Like, think about it, what you want to do. So reflecting and really working on it. And of course, this time has a lot of influences. We get everywhere good hints about how to do great leadership in Instagram, LinkedIn, and everywhere in books, to really take the time on self-reflection and self-development, really taking the time.
And just to add, I think leadership is like an infinite role or path. So there is no ending. I mean, can always get better on this. So it's still a lot of work to do, also for us.
Great. We have one more question here. It's from Roberto again. He's a student, right? And he wants to know, I mean, we asked this, but he wants maybe examples on what he can do to improve his skills. Is there like little bite steps on what he can do, like to start making actions to become a better leader?
Yeah, I think as always, I mean, this is something what we learned from our consultant professional side, is always to understand the root cause. And if I would be a Roberto, I would try to understand where I'm right now. What is where are my strengths? Where are my gaps? And how do I see my gaps? When do I see my gaps? And then work on this gaps.
Yeah. And what I would do, a simple step would be talk to someone you trust, talk to like in your inner circle surrounding where you have a good feeling, and ask them, hey, if you would observe me and the time you observed me the last weeks at work, in student group work or something, what would you give me as a, like, where do you see positive aspects and where would you improve? This would be a first step in a journey to say, hey, what do you see? And would you give me feedback on that?
Yeah.
And this could be a first step to identify where you need to work on, and then, of course, knowing which skills to improve.
And I think a very important thing is look for somebody who is really telling you the truth. And be prepared. Truth can hurt a little bit. And I remember when I was talking with John about something, and he said, "Okay, Drasko, stop with this BS. Okay, tell me exactly what you want, you know." And this is, I think, something which makes a relationship between a coach or a friend really something special, that he is telling you the truth to make you more successful or to develop you, not to tell you what you want to hear, because then you are not developing.
And this is, let's say, the start, the assessment, as you know from our slides. And the second part is practice, 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 meaning being a lead in a group work, getting in the forefront, and so on. So this is how we kind of made our way, and we are still at the beginning.
And I think very important, just thinking about the whole theory, what is behind leadership, we would have so many leaders, good leaders, if the theory would work. The reality needs to be accompanied, and you need somebody really who takes you by the hand and helps you to reflect on everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Over to you, Professor Jorge.
Okay, thank you very much. Really, I think the questions were great, and there was opportunity to interact. Maybe somebody still has some questions, please do that. I'll just show two more slides, right? Very, very, very short, right? So, quickly here, okay. So, talking about the OneMBA again, right? So, if you want to know more about the OneMBA, and also learn that OneMBA at FGV is a fast track to a master's degree. So OneMBA and master's program are really connected, and a student that graduates from OneMBA can then take 2 more courses at the master's program and write a dissertation and get a master's degree, right? And if you want really to know more about OneMBA, you have the chance now to register as what we call a free mover, in Portuguese, aluno avulso. That is to take one or a few more courses, right, to have the taste of the OneMBA. So please talk to Ricardo and Eliane, right? They'll send an email to all of you, right, if you want to know more. By the way, for example, tomorrow we'll have a class on business ethics. On Friday, a class about the future global executive. And on Saturday, a class on macroeconomics. So all of these are online class for now, right? We hope to start face-to-face again in late November. But for now, these classes are all going online. So you can just ask Ricardo or Eliane to sit down, right, or watch, right, one of these classes, right? So please take this chance, right? And just to finish, OneMBA, so we hope to improve your overall perspective by deepening your understanding of how culture and institutional environment affect business. And then to strengthen your ability to analyze critically, think strategically, act assertively, and lead with confidence. Okay, so this is it. So here's the web page of OneMBA, right? And if you want to contact Ricardo and Eliane, please write to this email. Right? It will be a pleasure to be with you. Ricardo and Eliane will share this PowerPoint with you. The PowerPoint has more slides, so you can know more about the OneMBA. But so this is what I would like to say. It will be a pleasure to welcome you in one of our classes so that you have the chance to talk to current students and talk to alumni, students who have graduated. Okay. So, Drasko Chan. By the way, Chan, do you know where he was born? Can you tell from all his experience? Can I reveal that, Chan? Chan, where you were born? Can I reveal where you were born?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's Turkish. He was born in Turkey, right? Okay. Drasko was born in Germany, but as he said, a lot of experience in the Americas, and Chan, lots of experience in Asia, right? Ricardo, as you know, he's from Japanese heritage, but Brazilian by birth. And I am from Portuguese, parents, but born in Brazil. So this is the beauty of that.
Group.
Yeah, that's group. Yeah. So if anybody would like to ask any question now, please do so at the Slido app. I don't think there's no other way to interact, right, Ricardo? Only through the Slido.
Right, and we have no more questions. We just had comments here. Yvonne said that he enjoyed a lot. Great insights. We have some anonymous persons as well here that were very happy with the presentation. So
good. Oh,
thank you.
I would like to
thank you very much.
Pleasure for us.
Thank our great speakers. It's been a pleasure talking to you all these months since we met first time last year, right? And now we've been talking, and we hope to be doing something more together, the OneMBA and elsewhere. And I hope that Mercedes-Benz will do a great job in recovering from the crisis, and maybe can lead by example. Let's hope so. At least we have a very good leader in Germany, right? Angela Merkel. Angela Merkel, for me, is one of the great political leaders in this world, where we lack good political leaders, right? Okay. So congratulations. Congratulations to the audience. Thank you to Internations, right? Drasko, thank you very much. Ricardo and Eliane and Patricia from our communication participation. Thank you very much to you all. Okay. All the best. Enjoy.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.